What's going on, you beautiful human beings? Welcome to my first tutorial, where today I am going to be showing you guys how to create a low-key minimalistic anime Twitter header. Something that's not too flashy, but also something that's not too little. It's just something to show off your favorite anime character, or just an anime character that you just think is cool that you saw online somewhere. But this is going to be something very simple. It's not going to be something that blows up in your face whenever you look at your Twitter, but it's going to be something that's kind of nice and sleek that kind of, people are like, damn, that's a pretty nice header. But without further ado, no more rambling, let's get straight into this thing. Alright, so now that we're over here on Photoshop, this is exactly what we're going to be teaching you guys how to create. And so we're going to be doing the same exact design. We're not going to be changing up or anything. We're going to use Levi. We're going to use the exact same fonts. We're going to use, all the same socials. We're going to be doing everything the exact same as you guys see here, but I just wanted to show this off a little bit so you guys understand what we're going to be looking at the end of the video and what you guys will be able to create by the end of this video. So first off, I like to say excuse me if I stutter a lot or if I ramble on. This is my first time teaching you guys how to do a tutorial. But first off, of course, create a new template. Do 30,000 by 1,000 or 3,000 by 1,000, excuse me. Don't do 30,000. It's probably not going to work. 3,000 by 1,000. That's going to be your optimized size for these Twitter headers. And for now, we're gonna bring our assets here. We're gonna get Levi, the PNG, and we're also gonna get the background that we use as well. And the rest of the stuff is everything else is just created, by me, of course. It's just text and boxes. So first off, what you're gonna want to do is we're gonna rasterize these. And we're going to increase the background size. We'll get this stuff done first. Usually what the better route to do this is to, of course, start off with your basic assets and then put some text and figure out where you're going to go with it. But since this is just a tutorial, you guys can just follow along with this. So we're going to increase Levi since he's kind of small, We're also going to flip him around so that way it kind of just, you can leave it in this fashion, but I feel like having him on the left side to take up more space and to show him off a little bit better, especially with the swords. If you face it the other way, you probably have to poke it out more to the left, but this is kind of the optimal spot that we want to stick him at. So that's pretty good. Then for the background, what you're gonna want to do is do a gradient map and then set this to white. Now here's the thing. Here's the way to work with gradient maps for the backgrounds. You can either just do black and white and then lower the exposure, or you can do it like this and then just lower the white and then it'll just darken up automatically. So we want it fairly dark. We don't want it to pop too much because, again, this is a minimalistic design, but we want you to be able to see the background a little bit as well, so that way it's not just blank space. So we're gonna go with I think right there looks pretty good. So we're going to leave that as that. We're going to add this as a clipping mask. So that way if we won't add anything under it, but just in case we don't want to mess anything up if we do put stuff accidentally underneath that. So we're going to leave that there. We're going to leave Levi right there. And next up, what you're going to want to do is, do the simple parts first. Let's do our favorite white here. ED. It's a slight off-white color. Make a new layer and boom, you're done with that. Next up, the text. The text is probably going to be the most complicated part for this tutorial. So, let's just put, let's just go with, my name, I guess. Or you know what? We'll do the your name thing again. So, oops, I can't spell because English sucks. So we're going to do this part first. So you can set it to wherever you want. I want it pretty even between him and the actual, the box here, but I think we have it a little bit smaller. I also think I'm on the wrong font, I believe. Let's check this here real quick. So the font we use is Quicksilver, and for here we have Monument Extended. So we're gonna want to switch this to Quicksilver. There we go. That takes up a little bit less space. So we'll leave it about right there. Not too even, because if you do end up doing it too even, you might get the text a little bit too close to the text that's going to be on the right. So you don't want to do that. So we're going to move this over a little bit more to the left, and that should do it right there. Let's space it out just a little bit so that way that some of the letters aren't sticking together. And the way you're going to want to do the stroke text, this is if you end up wanting to make this as a pre-made as well, which I'm perfectly fine with if you want to do it on your own, but make it unique to yourself, that's perfectly fine. The way you want to do this is you can either rasterize it and do it after, or you can leave it like this in case you want to change the name, or if your friend wants it, or you know, anything like that. So what you're gonna do here is you're gonna add the stroke. You're gonna do it the same color, and then we'll do it about maybe a 2, and then move it on the inside. You're not gonna see it right now, but in order for you to see it, you lower the fill to 0, and there you go. Let's zoom in a little. Let's do Control 0 so it fits on the screen automatically. Just a little bit of a shortcut tip for you guys. Let's try 3 real quick. I feel like 3 pops out a little bit more. I think we're gonna go with 3 on that stroke. All right, so that's the behind text, of course. So what you can do, you can either make a couple other text layers, or you could just simply do Control J, and then you know, clear this layer style, backspace name out of this one. And then just simply, if you hold shift, you move items up or down, straight up or down, or straight up or down, or straight left and right. And then just move it up a little bit. You can use shift and your arrow keys, you know, to find the spot that you want. So that way you don't have to keep moving it around with your mouse, because then it's going to snap. And then once again, just copy and paste. We don't want to transform that. And then we'll move this to about maybe right there. I think somewhere about there looks fine. You know, it's not going to be perfect within this tutorial. We're kind of just trying to explain this to you guys. So if you guys are a little bit OCD, then you know, you can fix this however you so please. So with that out of the way, next thing we're going to do, we're going to add the little boxes up top just to fill in a little bit of space. This isn't too necessary, but you know, it adds to the general design of it. So let's hold shift, center that with that, and then we'll do a smaller little box down here as well. Center this, and it should snap. Oh, it's snapping to the R, I think. And then let's move it down a little bit, because I think it's a little bit uneven compared to the top. And that's about good right there. Now, next thing you're going to want to do is the right side text. Now you can decide whether you want it to be dead on in the middle, whether you want it to be on the top, second to bottom, whatever you like, however you like it to look. You can decide which one's filled and which one's not, or complete opposite. You can decide which ones aren't filled and which ones are. Completely up to you. We're just going to do one simple opening here. And then what we're going to do is Control J, we'll move it up. And then we are going to copy and paste the back of the your name onto here. And then you're going to want to move it right where it lines up with the, you know, the other parts of the text. Now we might actually want to, let's redo that real quick. Let's raise the size of this, so that way it takes up a little bit more space on this right side. Right there should be good. So let's do it about right. We can actually do this. Let's center this, so that way we can even them all out. First of all, that would probably be the better strat for you guys. And then, you know, just continue to copy and then line them all up. And what you can actually do is probably just copy all of them. So when you're selected one, hold shift and then go all the way down to the last one, or up to the last one, and then click that one, and then you'll select all of them. Or you can hold control and then select each one, so that way they're all selected together. Hold Control J and you duplicated all of them, and you just line those up, and make sure you're not holding shift whenever you actually try to move them, and then you can hold shift after you click them to hold them. So we're gonna move that about right there. And then we just need a couple more that we're gonna move upwards right about there. And I'm gonna say we need one more. We're gonna move it up. We're gonna match it with the top one right here. And then we're gonna do the same thing. So click the bottom one, hold shift, click the top one, Control T, and then we're gonna move that all the way down, so that way it's all level. And as you can see, a couple of these are not in line. So we're gonna match those up. And then now we do the copy layer style, and we're gonna pick which one we want regular. So when you select one, you'll be able to see which one you have selected. So we clicked on, so we want this third on the top. We're gonna click on that one. That's the one we want regular. So we're gonna go through and click all the other ones that was not selected. We're gonna paste layer style, and you have that done. Now, here's the thing. When you go back to the other one, of course, I have his sword and his hand and his arm in front of everything other than the filled in Levi. So the way you want to do that is you want to figure out which one is your regular one again. And then we're going to toss Levi over all of these. And then let me get a quick reset. Actually, I did it more complicated the other day when I made this. Literally yesterday, but that's the easier route. Literally just toss Levi above all the other ones, and then the filled one, toss it over. Now you can really just move Levi wherever you want, and you have the subtle text. And if you don't like the positioning of the text, then all you have to do is just select all of them and move them over to whatever you're liking. Try not to get the filled text over his face, of course. If you have another character, try not to get it over them. That's what I would advise, unless you know your positioning is a little bit different, or your filled text is in a different spot. Then you could probably toss it over. Like if it was over his legs, if it was the second one to the bottom, you can move it over. But it really just depends on your character, your text, your filled option, whatever you decide to do with that. But that's how you get that over that. And then the other thing that we're gonna do with Levi is we're gonna create a copy, and we're gonna do the exact same thing. We're gonna paste it, the layer style, and I think we're gonna go up to 4. I think we did. I might be a little bit too thick because of his wires. His wires look a little bit odd, so we're gonna go back to 3. And I think that looks good. And then you just move it over to the right, and then it'll be behind him. Maybe we will go with 4 because we're gonna erase the left side anyways. Yeah, I think we're gonna stick with 4, and then in order to get the rest of it away from the text, so that way it doesn't mix in, just create a layer mask, and then you can literally just make a rectangular marquee tool, I think it's called. Kind of forget that, and then just line it up with that right side that you want it to cut off at, and then you can just fill it in with black with control delete or alt delete depending on where your black is on your left side. And you just control D to unhighlight that, and now it just lines up perfectly with the text. If you zoom in, it might actually be, no, it's pretty good right there. I think we're gonna do with that for now, and then of course control 0 again. And now one last thing is we're going to get our socials, and we are going to fill those in if I can find all of those. So TikTok, YouTube, Twitch. Of course you don't need Twitter because this is a Twitter header. And so if you guys have different files other than what I have, you don't have to do this part. But because I have to rasterize it in order for everything to be matched up correctly, either way you're gonna want to rasterize them. But you know, try to find icons that are like all fit together, and then we're just gonna shrink them all together so that way they're the same size and we don't have to try to match them up as we're moving them. And so your order is completely up to you. We're gonna do it like this, but of course we're gonna double click it, add a color overlay, and then we're gonna do ed for the white, and then we're gonna copy layer style, shift select all of those, and then now we're gonna rasterize all of them. One other thing actually is that with YouTube, you're definitely gonna want to try to cut out the triangle, so that way when you add the color overlay, you can tell it's YouTube instead of just a little random rectangle. And so we're gonna start off with Instagram right where it's at. We're gonna move the rest of these over. You can do this in a different order as well, of course, but the thing is that, well, if I could actually select these, that would be great. To make these match within distance, we're gonna try to match these all together with the text. So we're just gonna do Instagram. Of course, you'll type in your regular name, whatever it may be. We're gonna lower it to, I think 8's a good size. They're gonna move it to right about right there, and then we're gonna space it out a little bit more because with this font they kind of stick together a little bit, and we don't want that. So that's pretty solid. Let's see. Next up, we're gonna do TikTok. Let's just do Control T so that way we don't grab everything else. We'll do it right about there. I think that's pretty good. When it comes to TikTok, you can either leave it like that, or you can do the same thing that we did with the background and do a gradient overlay. And then let's reverse that real quick. And then if you move the white slider, it'll pop out the other colors a little bit more, so that way it's not so dull, and you can do it like that. It's completely your preference. If you think people can tell it's TikTok, which I'm pretty sure you can, then you can of course just do the color overlay, which we'll leave it at for now, just to make it a little bit easier. But that's how you'll do that if you just want to change the colors of the TikTok thing to match with everything else. And then now we'll move YouTube and Twitch this way, copy and paste Instagram, and then do that same thing here, and you know, so on and so forth. You guys get this part where I'm gonna finish doing this part, and you guys are gonna go ahead and skip across to where we're pretty much done with the socials. So in 3, 2, 1, you guys are all right. Now that we pretty much have that done, one thing that I did want to show you guys is that whenever you're trying to space things out, if you're holding shift, then you can actually see when it'll show you the spacings between the other things, so that way you make sure you to even out everything. So if we hold YouTube here, and then when you move it to the right, you can see the little numbers that'll show up. So see, 13 pixels is the same as TikTok spaced out from the pixels of, you know, blah blah blah. It doesn't show as Instagram, so I think that's because Instagram is not evened out itself. So if we move it, we should get it even. I think we'll leave it right there actually, because it's even with the other texts between one another. So we'll leave that as that. And in order to organize this correctly, we will move Instagram there, TikTok there, that there. We'll match the font, the text together. And one last thing actually before we continue is please make sure you're grouping copied layers, as well as you know, naming your layers, because you might get lost a little bit. And one last thing with the right side as well is, if you do not like the way that this looks, because of course these are a little bit uneven, of course just use your arrow key and zoom in, and then you can get to the perfection that you like. So right about there is pretty even, so we can do that with all of these. But you know, you guys pretty much get the concept. We're not going to worry about that too much, but you know, just select the ones that are uneven from the other letters, and then you can, you know, fix those out. Because you kind of want the pixels to line up with the other pixels, and then it just kind of flows a little bit, you know what I mean? Just overlap the lines like perfectly, and you got that. So that's pretty much it for the socials. Let's go ahead and group those as well and name this, and we'll move this all down together. Hold shift and we'll move it about there, so it's in the middle of everything. Probably want to space them out a little bit more, just to make it look a little bit more, you know, spread out. Of course, I can't really think of the word that I was gonna use, but we were gonna use the word. But you know what I mean, just to make it feel evened out a little bit. And last but not least, well, actually, we have one other thing, but for the additional parts, we're gonna create a new layer on the bottom, and we're gonna have our brush out. We're gonna put a flow of 100, and then we're gonna hold shift and one of the brackets to make sure it is not fully filled, and it should be soft. So what we're gonna do now is add a light behind Levi, so that way it kind of pops him out a little bit, and then we're gonna add a little light over to the top left, so that way it kind of pops out the, you know, the top of the name. So I don't want it too overtaking. Probably do maybe something like that. I think that looks pretty good. I don't see anything wrong with that. And then one other thing that I like to do, if the character doesn't seem HD enough, then I like to add I like to go to filter gallery and then paint daubs, and then add 1 sharpness, 1 brush size, and then it makes him a little bit sharper. And we'll be doing that with the overall design as well. So what we're gonna do is go from the bottom, hold shift, click the top, Control J, Control E. One big rule I sometimes forget to do, but I go back and do it every single time now, is when you're doing this, make sure you guys turn this into a smart object, so that way, for one, you can, like, you know, you could turn things off to see your effects that you add, as well as if we make other designs that you guys want to match a profile pic to, then you can go and do that in a little box, of course, 800 by 800, and then just move the smart filters over to the actual design itself. So of course, like the effects like that we're gonna do right now, the camera off filter, and even like if you add blurs and stuff like that, if you add little effects, you guys can just swing those smart filters over to the other thing that has another smart object as well, where you do this exact same thing, and you just plop it onto there, and it'll match everything correctly, color correcting, lighting effects, exposure, all that kind of stuff. So without further ado, now we have the last but not least. We're gonna add filter gallery. We're gonna add the sharpness to everything overall. And one thing I think I actually did in the background was add noise to it. That's completely up to you guys if you want to completely slick or if you want to add a little bit of noise. I did noise on the other one, but we're not gonna worry about that right now because we're already kind of a little bit ahead. But yeah, we're gonna go to camera raw filter, and I like to make it slightly darker, but you know, have the color effects pop out as well. So we're gonna go to basic. Since we don't have a lot of color on this, we're not gonna add temperature or tints. We're not gonna worry about either of those. We're gonna lower the exposure by maybe around the 35 mark. We're gonna raise the contrast up. I don't usually go with a specific number. I kind of just move it until I like the way it looks. So it's completely up to you guys. We're gonna raise the highlights a little bit as well, and then we're gonna lower the shadows so that way it's a little bit darker. Most of this, the top 4 kind of already deal with whites and blacks, so you don't have to really adjust these 2. If you do want to get very specific colors or, you know, lighting effects, then that's completely up to you. But we're gonna leave those as is. I think that looks pretty good. If you do this right here, you can see the color differential, and I think that looks really good. We're gonna raise the clarity up just a little bit, vibrance up just a little bit, and saturation up just a little bit right there. I think that looks good. Now we're gonna go to color mixer. We don't have a lot of color again, like I said, but we do have blue, we do have green, so we're gonna raise the green a little bit. This is Attack on Titan. It's kind of a dull color. Well, I shouldn't say that series is, but like, you know, their capes, they're not vibrant green like grass green like that, but we are gonna make it stand out a little bit more than it already is, and then we're gonna make the blue stand out a little bit as well. And I think that's pretty good. If you click this, you can actually see both of them side by side, and then you can do the differential right like this. And I think that green maybe needs to go a little bit lower. I think that's a good green right there. And there's not much to really mess around with the calibration. When we do other more colorful designs, then we will focus on that. But for now, I think that looks good. Just another test real quick, and I think that's pretty good. We're gonna click OK. And now that we have that, now you can turn this off and on. And I think I actually made a mistake. I think I left it as default, didn't I? I did. I made a very big mistake here. I accidentally clicked it a little bit too many times. I'm gonna go back and do it, and then we're gonna see the actual final product. So give me 1 second. All right, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of cheated. I went back to my other design, and I just got that smart filter and just put it on here because I did not feel like going through and getting all those numbers the same way that I did again. So we just did it like this. We got it close enough. All right, you guys understood what I was going for. This is the final product. This is what you guys should see, except of course your name is gonna be your name. And then the right side is completely up to you, whatever character you want. Just go find a PNG, type up Gon PNG, Killua PNG, you know, Asta PNG, whatever you guys want to put over there, you decide, and then just change that text like that. But that's it for this design. That is all I have for you guys today. I hope this helped you out. I hope you learned a little bit. I hope you learned at least a couple of things from this. If not, I just hope you enjoyed the video. But if you did find this video helpful, then if you don't mind, click that like button as well as that subscribe button. I'll figure out an intro and outro for this a little bit in the future. But thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a thumbs up, and if you don't mind, click that subscribe button. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace and love, baby.